everyone's well this morning. Going to expand a little bit on the oblique smile that we did last week. I want to talk about the phenomenon of diastisis abdominis, which happens quite often to pregnant women. And if it's not dealt with, it can last for the rest of your life after that. It can happen to men also, and it can happen for other reasons. That's the most common. And the cue that we're going to use to address it will be helpful to any stabilizing. So you don't have to have a diastasis to benefit from the cue that we're going to describe. So start on your back, lying on your back in constructive rest. And the way that you can see, a diastasis is when the abdominals separate, often to accommodate a pregnancy. So the rectus abdominis is the six-pack in this vertical arrangement here, and they get pulled apart. There's connective tissue in the middle of them, and it gets separated. It's meant to be that way. And they can knit back together quite well, but they don't always necessarily. So to find out if you have that separation, if you just put your fingers near your belly button and don't prepare at all abdominally, lift your head up. If you feel a bulging up on the two sides and a sinking down in the middle, that's the diastasis. So if you don't have it, great, good for you. But the cue that we're going to use to address it will still be helpful for your stability. So as we think about our belt, the transversus, we're going to add an image to that. So let's begin just relaxing and taking a moment to settle down. Knees are bent, feet are on the floor in line with the sit bones. Dropping into the back of the pelvis, relaxing the belly, broadening, flattening the shoulder blades, relaxing the arms. Put something behind the neck if the head doesn't feel comfortable. Lengthen the back of the neck. Sink the back of the head down towards the floor. We're going to add just a layer onto the image of the belt coming around with the transversus. I want you to imagine a zipper that's starting at the pubic bone and comes up all the way to the base of the breastbone. So there are two things about a zipper. One is that it goes up and down, but the important part for us here is that it draws two sides of something together. So imagine if you were zipping up a really tight pair of jeans. You have to kind of pull the two sides of the jean material together first before you can get the zip. So that pulling of the material towards the center in anticipation of the zip will be your transversus activity. And then connecting with the zip up would be connecting with the rectus abdominis that are in that vertical orientation. So that idea of pulling around from the back and that snugging around the hips is key. This is just adding a layer of stability. Like once you've got it there, you're going to keep that sense of pulling around the hips. So let's practice that a couple times. Take an inhale to prepare. Then as you exhale, imagine those snug, tight jeans and pull the fabric on each side together and then pull the zipper tab up from the pubic bone to the sternum. And then relax with the inhale. So this is transversus we're trying to address here, not the rectus abdominis, which actually does have a specific movement attached to it. The transversus, as we have discussed, doesn't need to be associated with any movement or position. So no position change as we find the transversus. Again, take an inhale to prepare. With the exhale, pull the fabric of the jeans towards the center enough and then zip up from the pubic bone to the breastbone. And then relax with the inhale. And give into gravity, release completely. And one more time. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, imagine pulling the jean material snug and then pulling the zipper up. And then let that relax with the inhale. So we're going to do that diastisis test again. If you didn't have it, well, you can still feel with your fingers, but if you had that kind of dropping down between the two sides of the abdominal muscles, just see if doing this maneuver makes any change there. So take an inhale to prepare. As you exhale, pull the jean fabric, zip the zipper up, and then with that image, lift the head and just notice if it's any different. And lower back down and relax completely. Give into gravity. We're going to do it again. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, pull the jean fabric snug and then zip the zipper up, and then after that step, lift the head. And release back down and give into gravity. Complete release. One more time. Gather the jean material, take your zipper, pull it up, and then lift the head. And relax back down, and give into gravity. Now this came into my attention last week when we were doing the oblique smile, because the obliques have the action of pulling outwards. When they work together, they actually pull out towards the waist. We talked about that and flatten the belly down. The transversus pulls into the center. So when they both work together, it's sort of like, I don't know what the PC name for this instrument is, but what we used to call the Chinese finger torture, that little woven tube, and you put your fingers in each end and then you pull outwards. And the weave of the basket material gets tauter. So we want to engage that zipper activity and do the oblique smile at the same time, especially when we have the feet or the head lifted. So we will get to the oblique smile, and we'll review that in a moment, but I want to have that underlying gathering of the zip up. So let's use that as we do our arm lifts to maintain the neutral spine. Inhale, bring the arms up towards the ceiling. Gather the jean material, zip up, and then take your arms back behind you, making sure that the lower back and pelvis stay steady. Inhale, bring the arms up towards the ceiling. Let's add a head lift, keeping that jean material snug and the zipper zipped. Lift your head. Inhale, head down, arms up. Zip up and exhale, reach back, maintaining the neutral lower back. And inhale, float the arms up. Zip up, make sure you've gathered in anticipation of the zip and lift your head. Inhale, head down, arms up one more time. Exhale, zip up and reach back, maintain your neutral lower back. Inhale, float the arms up. Gather and zip up, and then lift the head. Let's bring the hands behind the head and then lower the head back down to the floor for a moment. Feel the ribs flare. Inhale. Exhale, unflare the front ribs, imprint the back ribs. Here's the obliques. And inhale, let the ribs flare. And exhale, unflare the front ribs and imprint the back. And inhale, let the ribs flare one more time. Exhale, unflare the front ribs, imprint the back ribs. Now zip up and take a head lift. Should feel really solid now. Inhale there, and exhale. We're going to go to the crisscross motion. Lift up and over the right armpit, moving towards the left knee. And inhale back into the center. Stay zipped up and reach left armpit towards the right knee. Inhale to the center. Again, stay zipped up And reach up on the diagonal, right armpit to left knee. Inhale to the center. Exhale to the other diagonal. Inhale to the center. Zip up every time you're in the center. And one more time each way. And lower the head back down. Just keep your hands behind the head for a moment. Relax with the chest open. And we're going to do the alternate leg lifts extension with the head lifted, staying zipped up the whole time. Engage, pulling your jean fabric snug, pull the zipper up, knit and imprint the ribs, lift the head, and then raise the right foot up. Flex your foot, extend your leg out, knit your ribs together. Inhale, bend the knee, stay zipped up and lower the foot down and then go to the other side. Make sure you have that feeling of pulling the jean fabric around. Exhale, reach out through the left heel. Inhale, bend the knee and lower back down. Stay snug around the hips, zipped up, back to the right side. Inhale to lift, exhale to reach out. Inhale, bend, and exhale, lower. Keep the jeans wrapped around and zipped up. Left foot up, reach out through the heel and bend the knee. Re-anchor, lower the foot, and then lower the head down. Relax your arms to your sides. Slowly turn your head from one side to the other. Okay, now I want to review that idea of the oblique smile. You're going to imagine a little mouth right at the belly button, and the idea is that it moves out to the side, it broadens. You might think of it as an organ lift that goes to each side when you're on your back. So we're going to add that into the mix for the pistons. Gather the jean material, zip up, knit and imprint, and then think of your oblique smile broadening and lift the right foot up. Imprint the back ribs, lift the left foot up, and then keep broadening the oblique smile without losing your zip. And exhale the right foot down, inhale, lift back up, and exhale the left foot down and lift back up. So alternately come to the idea of the zip up and the broadness of the oblique smile. Exhale to lower and inhale up. Remember, you're trying to keep the same angle behind the knee the whole time. Move at the hip crease. All right, finish with the left side. Then let's take one hand on each knee and do the hip circles. Let the legs relax, the pelvis can rock, you can relax the belly and just flop the legs around and reverse. And then before we go to the 100, bring the knees into the chest. Float the arms up towards, actually no, let's bring the arms into cactus. If the backs of the arms don't press down into the floor, then do float your arms up towards the ceiling. But if you got the backs of the arms and hands onto the floor, press down into the floor. Zip up, pull the pubic bone into the belly button, imprint the back ribs, and then circle the knees around. Now you're drawing a circle on the ceiling with both knees, trying to keep both shoulders and backs of the arms down on the mat. And reverse. Good. Keep thinking of the back ribs and reaching down, imprinting into the mat. Reverse again. Good. Keep both shoulders down. Reverse. Do one more circle each way. Then one hand to each knee. Pull the knees in, lengthen the back of the neck. Bring the arms out, shoulder height or a little lower, and exhale. Bring both knees over to your left side. Come into a spinal twist. Relax the right shoulder. Breathe slowly into the right side. Relax the legs as close to the floor as possible. And then bring the knees back into the center and drop them over to the other side. Left arm relaxed, slow breathing. And then back into the center. Keep the knees into the chest, bring the arms down to the sides. We're going to prepare for the 100. Throughout the 100, we want to use the oblique smile and the zip up. So we want to make sure that the rectus abdominis, the six-pack muscles doesn't bulge out. And we also want to make sure that the connection, the linear elbow between the two sides is connected and not separated. So we're going to be zipping and broadening the oblique smile. Start by lifting the feet up into neutral tabletop position. Your neutral spine is in place. If for some reason your back is ever hurting, you can flatten the back for the 100 or put your feet down. But let's work with neutral unless there's reason not to. Gather the jean material around, zip yourself up, knit and imprint the ribs and press the hands down and then lift your head. Stay zipped up. Think of your oblique smile and stretch the legs out, then exhale for 5 pulses and inhale for 5. Exhale for 5 and inhale. And feel free to do this with your knees bent. Think of the zipping up, the gathering of the two sides of the fabric, and then the broadening of the oblique smile beneath the belly button. Exhale for 5 and inhale. Exhale and inhale. So we want the basket weave of all the muscles that form the abdominal wall really tightly woven right now. Exhale and inhale and exhale and inhale. And bring the knees into the chest, put the head down, relax your neck, and turn your head side to side. And then settle the head into the center, bring the legs back up into the neutral tabletop. Regather the fabric, zip, knit and imprint. Lower your right foot down, and then keep imprinting, lower the left foot down. Relax into neutral. We're going to take some neutral back pelvic lifts. If you have something behind your head, remove it. Gather the jean fabric, zip up, knit and imprint the ribs, and then think of the spine staying completely in this relationship and just moving the hip joint. Press your hips up towards the ceiling. So if the floor had come up with you, you'd still have your lumbar curving space in place. And then drop the hips back down. The inner core supported, the zipped up feeling. Anchor and press up. And hinge back down. One more time. Make sure you zip up before you go anywhere. And lower back down. And relax everything for a moment. And then let's straighten the left leg out onto the mat and bring the right knee to the chest. Just pull towards the breastbone, letting everything relax for a moment. And I want you to regather the fabric and zip up, and then lift your head. Nod your chin in towards your chest, and see if you can see visually if the pelvis is level. And then lower back down. Now we're going to bring the right knee to the right armpit. Put your left hand on your left hip. We're trying to feel the pelvis staying even here. And then we're going to test the theory. Engage, pull the fabric snug, zip up, and then lift your head. We want to keep that gathered, zipped up feeling. Lift up. If you notice that you're really rocked over to the right side, correct it and stay zipped up. We do want the armpit, or the knee going towards the armpit, so you're stretching your inner thigh. And then release. Come back into the center. Let the neutral spine reassert itself. Take your hands behind the right thigh and stretch your right foot up towards the ceiling. Regather and zip. Knit and imprint. Relax your arms away from your leg and circle the leg. Stay knitting, imprinting, and zipped up. 5 circles with the leg in one direction, and then 5 the other. Pelvis is stabilized, you're zipped up, your rib cage is steady. And we're going to reach the right foot down to the floor. Stay zipped up as your foot goes down. And then relax. And bring the left knee into the chest, pull the knee towards the breastbone. Feel the evenness at the back of the pelvis. Gather and zip, and then lift your head. Nod your chin in towards your chest, and see if the pelvis is even. And then lower back down. Bring the right hand onto the right thigh. Pull the left knee towards the left armpit. Feel the pelvis even, and then we're going to check it out. Gather and zip, and lift your head. And make sure you're not rocked over to the left side. Stay zipped up as you lift the head. The knee is pulling towards the armpit on the left side. And then release. Bring the knee back into the center. Hands at the back of the thigh. Drop down into the tailbone so you're even in the back of the pelvis. Extend the left leg up. Keep the leg supported for a moment. Gather and zip up. Knit and imprint. Then release the arms and circle the leg 5 times each way. Keep thinking of the zip up from the pubic bone to the belly button. And make sure you have that sense of gathering around that precedes it. 5 times one way and then 5 the other. And then reach your foot down to the floor and come all the way out into an extended position. Relax there. And then let's take a little stretch, side stretch, moving the feet to the left, tilting the upper body to the left, reaching up and grabbing the right wrist, right foot over the left. Feel the back of the pelvis and reach it down into the mat and breathe slowly. You don't need to engage anything here, just release into the stretch. And then come up into the up to the top, legs to the center, arms overhead. Balance the back of the pelvis and keep it level as you move the feet to the right and tilt the upper body to the right. Grab the left wrist, left foot over the right. Relax. Once you're even, relax and breathe into the stretch. And then back into the center, reaching long. We'll take a couple roll-ups here. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, gather, zip up, knit and imprint. The spine is flat, and then you inhale and come up to the top. Rolling slowly up, trying to keep the shoulders relaxed. Sit tall at the top. Drop your chin and then fold forward. Relax the elbow. Please don't reach forward. Make sure that the shoulders stay down and relaxed. And sit yourself up tall. Actually, take the hands in front of the shoulders. Sitting tall, gather and zip up. And then think about that zipping up, pull the ribs together and roll just partway down. And then re-zip, regather. Stay really connected from with the transversus around the back. Continue the rest of the way down. Imprinting once the ribs hit the mat. And then reaching back. Relaxing into the long stretch. And set it up again. Gather, zip, knit and imprint, and roll yourself up. Find the power in the belly, not in the shoulders. Sit tall at the top. Relax the arms, reach forward with the breastbone and hinge down. And sit tall, arms in front, the hands in front of the shoulders. Regather, re-zip up, and knit the ribs together. Roll down. Go slowly through the lower back. As soon as you feel the back ribs touch the mat, you're going to start imprinting them. Stay zipped up. Roll back. Release and stretch. And one more time. Gather and zip up, knit and imprint, and inhale and roll up. Stay zipped up. You can keep thinking about that zipping as you come up and sit tall. And then reach forward with the breastbone into the stretch. Relax the shoulders. And sit tall before we go down. Let's go into the saw. So you're going to take your feet as wide as your mat. Reach down through both sit bones. Lengthen up through the top of the head. If you're having a lot of trouble in your hip flexors, your knees can bend, or you can sit up on a blanket. Inhale, arms wide. Now I want you to really zip up and gather, and then think of your left sit bone reaching down into the mat. Spin to the right. Keep your left sit bone down to the mat. And then reach down towards your right foot. Make sure your left sit bone stays down. So you might just be touching the outside of the thigh, that's fine. And then sit up tall. Regather and zip. Both sit bones down. Pay attention to the right one as you twist over towards the left and then reach in the direction of your left pinky toe. You don't have to get anywhere. I want you to keep your right sit bone down. And sit up tall. Inhale to the center. Relift, re-zip, gather, twist, and keep the left sit bone down as you reach. And inhale up to the top. You lifted. This is gathered and zipped. And twist left. Then down. Keep the right sit bone in contact with the mat. One more time each way. Sit tall. Gather and zip. Twist. Left sit bone stays down as you twist and reach. And lift to the top. One last time. Gather, zip, twist, and bend down. And up to the top. Let's take a wide-legged forward bend for a moment, but keeping the legs as they are. Just bend forward and relax. Remember when you go into a forward bend to not collapse your chest, but to reach the breastbone forward, open the chest, and then relax the upper back. And then sit tall, and we'll do one final descent. Bring the legs back together. Sit tall with the arms in front of the shoulder joints. Gather and zip. Knit the ribs together. And slowly bring yourself down. Rolling discreetly through each vertebra of the lower spine and imprinting the back ribs. Take your time at the end of the roll. Flattening the back until your head is down. Then reach back with the arms, nice long reach. Relax relax into the stretch for a moment. And then float the arms up to the ceiling. And release them down to the side. Bring your knees to your chest. Rock back and forth on the sacrum. Lengthen the back of the neck. Okay, then come out onto your left side. We're going to stretch out long on the left side with the feet slightly forward of the hips, the right hip slightly forward of the left hip. Place your right hand on your right waist and relax completely. Feel yourself giving into gravity. Soften into the pull of gravity. Let the abdominal muscles be slack and the abdominal organs sink down towards the floor. Notice the belly button is a little off center. Exhale. Gather and zip up. And then lift your organs. And then raise the top leg. And lower back down. We're going to start with this most basic variation. Give it your full attention. Stay zipped up, gathered, and organ lifted. Five of these. Then we'll take the right hand and place it behind the head to do the side crazy fish. Notice your left arm. Please let it be passive, and we're not pushing off of the left arm to do this motion. If you're finding it really hard to balance, your knees can come to a comfortable position. So gather, lift, zip and organ lift, and then we're going to lift right armpit towards the right hip and lower back down. No pressure in the left arm. Better to bend the knees than to press off of the left arm. This is the obliques doing the side bend and lower back down. So you should feel it in the waist. Exhale, side bend to lift and lower. Twice more. Relax that down. Bring the hands up onto the waist. Re-engage, finding your wrapping around, your zipping up and your organ lift. Raise your top leg, and then as you exhale, lift your bottom thigh to meet it, and then lower the bottom leg back down. Easy in the neck and shoulders. Rather bring your fingertips to the floor and have no tension in the neck than vice versa. And then we're going to keep both legs lifted. Flex the feet, squeeze the toes, point the feet, fan the toes, and flex the feet back. Squeeze the toes, point the feet, fan the toes, flex back, squeeze, point, fan, flex, reverse it. The toes are open, reach through the balls of the feet. Squeeze the toes like you're grabbing something, pull back. Open the toes, reach, squeeze, pull back in. One more time, open the toes, reach, squeeze, pull it back in. Relax the legs down to the mat. Take a moment, relax the neck and shoulders. Now we're going to bend the knees and prop up. Left elbow directly under the left shoulder. Left hand pointing out in front of you. Knees comfortably bent. And have the right hand on the waist. Zip yourself up. Take an organ lift. And then steady the pelvis and turn the breastbone to look at the floor. Keep the pelvis still. You're just turning your rib cage. And then steady the pelvis. Turn the breastbone to look up at the ceiling. Chest trying to turn. You're not going to get that far, but keep the pelvis steady, move in the direction. Breastbone turning towards the floor. Steadying the pelvis. You should feel that activity around the waist. The obliques are really working. And turn. Rotating the rib cage towards the ceiling. Imagine the breastbone trying to look up. One more time. Keep the pelvis steady. Rotate the ribs. Down towards the floor. And up towards the ceiling. And come back into the center. Okay, reset. This next exercise, if it's too hard to lift the hips as we're going, as I'm going to instruct, you can leave the hips down when we do it. But for any variation, you need to gather the transversus, zip up, take your organ lift, press down into your left forearm. Make sure that your shoulder feels really secure in the socket. And then extend the right leg, and if you want the extra challenge of it, lift the left hip off of the floor. And then circle the right leg 5 times each way. And then we're going to go 5 times forward and back with the leg. And again, you can come back down onto the hip if you need to. Pelvis should be still, ribs should be still. When you're done, bend the knee, lower down, press down onto the floor again. Knees are comfortably bent. Relax your neck and shoulders. In fact, let's do a little counter pose for the neck. Turn your head, look up towards the ceiling, and then as you exhale, nod your chin in towards your shoulder. Then lower back down. Just twice more. Nod and lower back down. And once more, nod, lower back down. And then you're going to turn your head so you're looking at the floor. And we're going to do that same nod motion, dragging your nose forward and nodding the back of the head towards the shoulder. And then down, you're tucking your chin, you're looking at the floor. And slide the nose forward, nod back, and release. One more time. And then settle your head into position for the clamshells. So we have our knees bent at the 45, the halfway angle. Check that the right knee is not behind the left, which is going to make your hip come forward. We're just going to do these slowly and be really attentive to the stability. It's a little different when you do them slowly. So gather the material, zip yourself up, and roll the right thigh out in the socket. Do it in slow motion and lower back down. Now the same way that we weren't bracing with the arm in the last one, try not to brace with your left leg here. So gather and zip up, and then roll the right leg out in the socket. Take it nice and slow. Make sure the right hip is coming forward the whole time. And lower back down. Check that the knee doesn't recede. Just 3 more times, very slowly. You should feel the work in the butt. And lower back down. Twice more. Gather, zip up, and roll the leg out in the socket. And last one. And relax. Okay, now we're going to bend the knees to the 90-degree angle. You have your feet and your knees at the front of the mat. Again, be sure that the hip is forward so the right knee is directly over the left knee. Again, we're going to move in slow motion. Stabilize around the pelvis, gather and zip, and then roll the right leg out in the socket and lower back down. Check out what's going on in the left leg, buttock. Make that as passive as possible. So feel your belt snug. Think about the zip up happening from pubic bone to belly button in this case, and lower down. Gather and zip. Keep the intensity of the stability low around the pelvis. 2 more times. And relax completely. And open the front of the hips all the way. 0 degree of hip flexion, the knees are bent behind you. Check your neck and shoulders, they're comfortable. Gather the transversus, zip yourself up, add an organ lift. And then we're going to do 5 times in slow motion here as well. Roll the thigh out in the socket and come back down. Keep the knees far away from the head. Roll out in the socket. Stay zipped up and stable around the pelvis. Exhale to lift. Keep it nice and slow. Minimize any pressure in the left leg. 1 more time. Good. Release that, turn over onto your back for a moment. If you want to hug the knees, you can, or just relax in neutral. Okay, then let's turn to the right side. Resting the right ear on the right arm, legs are extended out, feet slightly forward of the hips, left hip slightly forward of the right, of the bottom one, top hip a little forward. Hands on the waist, gather and zip up, take an organ lift, and then lift and lower the top leg 5 times. You can make it slow, really clean, stay with the intention of the zip and the organ lift. And we'll take the hand behind the head for the crazy fish. Just rest into the right arm, try not to be pressing off of it. Re-engage your gather, your zip, your organ lift, and then side bend. Left armpit towards the left hip, passive in the right arm. Exhale into the side bend. Bend the knees if the balance is hard. Exhale. Inhale down. 2 more times. Exhale to lift. And then relax. Return the left hand to the left hip or fingertips to the floor. Regather and zip. Re-engage your organ lift. Take the top leg up, and then we're going to lift and lower the bottom leg 5 times. On the last one, the bottom leg stays up. Flex the feet. Squeeze the toes, point the feet, fan the toes out, and then flex the feet back. Twice more. Squeeze the toes, point, fan, flex. Squeeze, point, fan, flex. Now keep your toes open, reach through the balls of the feet, squeeze the toes like you're grabbing something and pull back. Open the toes, reach, grab, and pull back. One last time. Open the toes and reach, squeeze, and pull back. And then relax down. Now we're going to bend the knees and prop up onto the right forearm. Elbow directly under the shoulder, hand projecting straight out in front of the shoulder. Make sure that you don't sink into the shoulder joint, but that you lift up off it so the bone is well into the socket. Hands on the hips. Gather and zip up around the pelvis. Take an organ lift. pelvis still, then turn the breastbone to look at the floor. And then rotate and turn the breastbone towards the ceiling. Pelvis stays still. Twice more. Make sure that you're staying anchored through the right shoulder, not sinking into the shoulder. Keep pressing off of the forearm and rotate. One more time. And then come to the center. Relax a moment. Straighten the top leg. So you have the option of leaving the hip down if you'd like for the next one. Regather and zip. Engage your organ lift. And press down into the forearm. Get the shoulder well seated. Lift the hip up if you want to. And then we're circling 5 times with the top leg. Careful not to sink into the right shoulder. Reverse. Keep your organ lift going. And then we're going forward and back 5 times with the top leg. The hip can come down, and you can do the exercise with the hip down if necessary. Keep anchored. Keep pressing into the forearm, lifting your organs. Then we're going to bend the knee, lower down. Come down to rest with the arm underneath your ear. Relax in the belly. And then turn to look at the ceiling. And then nod the chin towards the shoulder and lower back down. Twice more. Lift the head, nod, and then release. One more time. And release. And then turn your head so that your eyes are towards the floor, your nose is towards the floor. And then push your nose along your arm and nod again. Back of the head going towards the shoulder this time. And draw the chin under, forehead to the arm. Twice more. Slide the nose forward and nod. And release. One more time. And bring the head into the center. Let everything relax. And then check your basic posture for the clamshells. Make sure that the left knee is as far forward as the right. That tilts your left hip forward. Gather and zip up. Keep the effort around the pelvis, and in slow motion, exhale. Float the left knee up towards the ceiling. The power's in the butt. Try to release any pressing through the right leg. And lower down. We'll do it 3 more times in this position. Keep the neck and shoulders relaxed. Stabilize around the pelvis. Roll the thigh out in the socket. When you're done with the 5, relax completely. And then we bend the knees a little bit more deeply so that the feet and the knees are at the front of the mat. Gather and zip up around the pelvis. Make sure that the left knee is forward, and then 5 slow external rotations here. Feel the work in the buttock. Relax the right leg. Keep stabilized around the pelvis. When you're done, relax completely. Then go to the 3rd position, opening the front of the hips, knees directly underneath the head. Regather and zip. Take an organ lift. And roll the thigh on the socket 5 times here. Keep it slow. Keep the focus on the stabilizing around the pelvis. When you're done, relax. And we're going to turn onto the stomach. Stretch the arms all the way out in front of you like Superman, forehead on the mat. Legs comfortably separated. Let yourself sink into the floor. Completely relax. Check that the front thighs are relaxed, the buttocks, the belly. Feel the rim of the palm. So you want to make sure you get the ball of the index finger down. Gather and zip up. Knit the ribs together and then lift your chest and head. Feel the ball of the index finger down in the mat and draw the shoulders down away from the ears. Good. Keep the legs relaxed and let the breath move into the breastbone as the shoulders go down the back. And then relax back down. Let everything soften and release. And set that up again. Gather and zip. Knit the ribs. Feel the contact through the ball of the index fingers. Slide the shoulders down into the back pockets. Draw the shoulders away from the ears, the chest forward. Stay relaxed in the buttocks and the back thighs. Opening and breathing into the chest without tilting the head too much. No compression in the back of the neck. And relax back down. One more time, starting from a complete release, relaxing the legs and buttocks. Gather and zip up, knit the ribs, and lift the chest, the head. Keep connected through the rim of the palm. Draw the shoulder blades down the back. Breastbone forward. And release back down to the floor. Relax completely. And come up to all fours. As you inhale, breathe into the chest. Draw the breastbone forward. Exhale, pull your tail between your legs. Bend the elbows, drop your head, and move the hips back to the heels. Relax through the arms. The elbows should be dropped down to the mat. And inhale, come up again. Drawing the breastbone forward without collapsing in your lower back or over-compressing the neck. Chest forward. Then tuck the tail. Bend your arms. Soften the head down. Bring your hips back towards your heels. One more time, lift up onto all fours, bring the breastbone forward, and tuck the tail, relax the upper body, move your hips back to your heels. Take a moment, just relax there. And then lift back up onto all fours. Check that your hands are directly under your shoulders. If this is giving you any trouble in the wrists, you can stand up on the knuckles. We're going to tuck the toes under. Gather and zip up. Pull the ribs in. Press down into the palms. And then making sure you really have the basket weave of the abdominal wall nice and tightly woven. Lift the knees just an inch or two off the mat. Press like you're going to try to press the floor away from you. And then drop the knees back down. I'm going to do that a couple more times and hover. As you lift and lower, make sure you're not displacing your head forward. We want to keep the shoulders directly over the wrists. This is a shoulder girdle stabilizer. Engage the low core and imprint. Basket weave of the abdominal wall nice and firm. Press the hands into the floor and hover the knees up off of the mat. Shoulder blades should be broad on your back. Basket weave nice and snug across the front. Pressing down into the floor. Then lower the knees. And relax that. One more time. Find the support of the abdominal wall. And then press up. Keeping the shoulders directly over the wrists. Keeping good, steady support under the abdominal wall. And then release. Bring your hips back to your heels. Relax the neck and shoulders. Hands can come under the forehead if that's a better place for you to stretch. Okay, then let's come back over onto the back for the abdominal series. So in the abdominal series, we want to stay zipped up and apply the oblique smile because the head is lifted. We'll start by returning to your constructive rest pose, relaxing into gravity. Regather the transversus, zip yourself up, knit an imprint, keep the shoulders relaxed, lift the left foot up, imprint, lift the right foot up. Now think of your zipping going on again. Lift the head and then smile with the oblique smile. Go into the single leg stretch. Both hands to one leg, the bent knee, the other leg straightens out. So no bulging of the six pack and also bridging the gap between the two sides if you need to think about that. And then transition to the double leg stretch, both knees bent. Make sure you zip up and oblique smile. Reach away from the center on the exhale and come back in on the inhale. Exhale, belly should be flat and the two sides of the six pack connected. They're zipped firmly together. Exhale away from the center. Inhale back in, twice more. And exhale, you can keep the legs straight and transition to the single straight leg. Good, keep zipped up. Chin in towards the chest, elbows wide. Try not to pull directly behind the knees, but behind the calf or the thigh. And then both legs up, support your hands behind your head. Reset, inner core, zip up, imprint the ribs, lower the legs a little bit and bring them back up. Making sure that your neutral spine is maintained the whole time. You stay zipped. The oblique smile is broad. And then bend your knees. Reset. And go into the crisscross. Bicycle the legs. Pelvis is still. If the bicycling is too much, put your feet down on the floor. Reconnect with your zipping up. And then head down, knees into the chest. Relax the neck. Lower your left foot down to the floor. Place your right ankle onto the left knee. Zip yourself back up. Knit and imprint the ribs and lift the left foot. Let's relax into the stretch of the right hip so you can hold behind the thigh or over the front of the calf. Let the breath go. Just watch out that you're not tilting to the right side. Stay in the middle of the back of the pelvis. Back of the neck should be long. If you feel your chin jutting up towards the ceiling, get support behind your head and lengthen the back of the neck. And then we're going to release left foot to the floor, right foot to the floor, let everything relax for a moment. And then bring the left ankle to the right knee and support the right leg. Relax into the stretch on this side. And then uncross that ankle from the knee. Bring both knees into the chest. Rock side to side if you like. And then roll over onto your side. And use your top hand to prop yourself up. And that'll do it for today. So hope that all made sense to you. Let me know if you have any questions about the diastisis or if the oblique smile is not making sense. But if you have that diastisis problem, it's worth trying to pull the sides together. And even if you don't, it's a great way to get that sense of the fibers, which, as you do know, I believe, but the fibers of the transversus, which are horizontal, the obliques, which run on both angles, so you can picture that really very secure mesh that's formed by all of those fibers. And when you tug them in all the right directions, it makes a very stable support. Okay, so thanks. Hope you're all well. Enjoy this rainy day we're having. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye. Hey, Renata. Hey, Liza.